Hey there, welcome to the weekend recap. This week hosted by Adrian from Rabona TV. That's right. From Rabona TV is my legal surname. Need further proof? That's my name on Twitter, dude. You think that Twitter is some sort of platform where you can use fake names and profiles and say whatever you want without any consequences? Yeah. Why don't you come and take a look and find out for yourself? But do that after. Let's go to the Premier League first. Manchester United took on Portugal in what was Bruno's first appearance and start for United. Not the greatest performance from United in general, as I thought that they were playing at way too slow of a pace. Another 0-0 between Arsenal and Burnley, so we won't waste much time there. Aubameyang should have won it for Arsenal, but he managed to miss somehow. That's 4 draws in a row for Arsenal. Liverpool still aren't letting complacency leak into their game as they dealt with Southampton fairly easily, 4-0. That's 20 consecutive home matches won in the Premier League, which equals Bill Shankly's record from 1972. They win their next one at home, and they have set a new English top flight record. Oh yeah, and 2 assists for the sauciest player in the league, Firmino, taking him up to 50. Liverpool's third goal was pretty sublime, by the way. The ball from Henderson, then the dinked finish from Mo Salah had me chef-kissing. Everton and Watford faced off in the Marco Silva is a fraud derby, with Watford fans chanting, "We told you he's shit, we told you he's shit, Marco Silva, we told you he's shit," and the Everton fans applauded in agreement. Poor guy. Man, I do feel bad for sort of ragging on him, but he's not great. Anyway, that was a wild match with Everton's Yuri Mina scoring twice in the first half stoppage time to make it 2-2, setting the table for Theo Walcott to win it in the 90th minute, despite Everton being a man down since the 71st. Fabian Delph got sent off. So that's a huge win for Ancelotti. They're now undefeated in 4 matches. Crystal Palace are on a bad run at the moment, and Sheffield United took advantage of that once again as they're still lingering around the top 6. They won 1-0. Chelsea, they're still in 4th somehow. Don't know how. They went away to the King Power Stadium and salvaged a 2-2 draw against Leicester. Chelsea have just a single victory in their last 5 matches. West Ham, I may have to do a video on them this week as it is imperative for them to survive this season in the Premier League, or else they will have many financial difficulties ahead of them in the Championship. The Dildo Brothers, you know, they're not doing so well financially. But anyways, they hosted Brighton and blew a 3-1 lead to tie 3-3. And like I said last week, Moyes is getting dangerously close to becoming the anti-Allardyce. Winless in 5 now and sitting in the relegation zone. If he has another relegation, he's going to make himself really tough to hire. Alright, let's get to the main event, the one with the most talking points, Spurs versus City. First thing, the Sterling challenge on Dele. It's reckless and endangering your opponent. For me, that's a red. Even if he did get a bit of the ball, the follow-through was extremely dangerous and could have broken Dele's ankle, so for me, that's a red. It all gets very murky though. When Son made that tackle that caused André Gomes to crash into Aurier and break his ankle, Son was sent off, even though it wasn't a red card tackle from him. It was a shithousing yellow. If Aurier wasn't there, Gomes would have been fine. It would have been a yellow. So if that's a red, because his tackle led to the breaking of an opponent's ankle, even though it wasn't a red card tackle, then is it only a red card for Sterling? If Dele went off with a broken ankle and only a yellow because he got a bit of the ball, it's all very murky and you can make assertions for either side, really. Me, I fall on the red side, but I can understand how people can make a case for just a yellow. Then later, VAR jumped in to intervene an eternity after Aurier had tackled Aguero. The right call, but I just wish it didn't take so long to go back. 2 minutes and 5 seconds. Mourinho's smirk said it all, man. And Lloris saves the penalty. Sterling goes for the rebound. Lloris barely gets a piece of it, and Sterling goes down. You can see he had no chance of getting the ball. The ball was not a playable distance away from him after he had touched it beyond Lloris, and he was fishing for contact, so VAR must have agreed with that, I guess. But in doing so, it begs another question. If it's not a penalty, then it has to be a yellow because it was a dive, and a dive is a bookable offense, and would have seen a second yellow for Sterling. That's twice he avoided getting sent off. But as I said on Twitter, don't you guys know he found the hidden immunity idol before the match and he cannot be sent off? I can also kind of see why they didn't give him the second yellow, sort of, because if there's a little bit of contact but not enough and Sterling had poked it too far ahead anyways, then just doing nothing, I'm okay with that too, you know? But I can see how Spurs fans would be very aggravated. So this match got even more fun. There was Gundogan putting the ball over from just outside the 6 on an empty goal. Then Zinchenko dying for Mahrez and Sterling's sins as he got a red. Oh, Spurs were extremely sloppy with their passing. So many loose touches, errant passes. They really do miss the control that Kane brings in the striker position. They really do just miss out on having a striker in general, to be honest with you. But finally, in the 63rd minute, Moura chopped a ball wide to Bergwijn, the new boy, and he chested the ball, sorted his footing, and smacked it into the corner. 1-0. Later, Son Heung-min doubled the score with another well-taken strike into the bottom corner. That's 3 matches in a row that he has scored. So, 2-0 was the final for Spurs. 2 goals from 3 shots. Oh man. Let's look at the standings. Liverpool now have a 22-point lead, which is the most that a team has ever had in the English top flight. The most ever at any point in the season. Wild. Liverpool could lose 7 in a row and City could win 7 in a row and they would still be in second. So Liverpool, if they win every match, could clinch the title at Goodison Park on March 16th. The scenes if that happens. Everton would never live that down. That win for Spurs has propelled them up to 5th, and they're breathing down the necks of Chelsea in their poor form. Sheffield, Man United, and Wolves are all lingering around as well. It's Bundesliga time, folks. We'll start with Dortmund, and as you have noticed, though tempting, Erling Haaland's goal-scoring exploits didn't make the title of the video for a 3rd consecutive week, despite this kid being absolutely ridiculous. He scored 2 this weekend in Dortmund's 5-0 win over Union Berlin. He scored 7 goals in 3 appearances, 7 shots, 7 on target, 7 goals, averaging a goal every 19.4 minutes. Absurd. Jadon Sancho also broke a record as he became the first player in Bundesliga history to score 25 goals before the age of 20. He also grabbed an assist yet again, as he has to have one of each. 3 matches running where he's had one of each. He's done so in 7 of his last 8 appearances. So 12 goals and 12 assists for him on the season. So that's 3 wins in a row for Borussia and 3 matches in a row in which they have scored 5 goals, 15 goals in just 3 matches in 2020. A fun first half between Mainz and Bayern produced 4 goals, 3 of them for Bayern, one of which was of course scored by Robert Lewandowski, his 22nd of the season after 20 appearances. It was also nice to see Thiago Alcantara score for the 3rd match running as he tries to find his form again, which he's doing quite well. Such a great midfielder to watch when he's at the height of his power. Hoffenheim brought Bayer Leverkusen's 3-match winning streak to an end, and in doing so, brought themselves within a point of this weekend's opponents. Life is not so bad without Julian Nagelsmann so far for Hoffenheim. And speaking of Julian, his Leipzig side hosted Borussia Marco Rosenbach and dropped points for the 2nd match running. They left it late, but Leipzig was able to come back from 2-0 down to tie 2-2. Christopher Nkunku the hero for Leipzig this time. Dani Olmo did come in the 69th minute and caused many problems. Maybe should have come on earlier, to be honest. But yeah, Playa, who has been in great form lately, got himself sent off for dissent, which is a major headache for Marco Rose. And those 30 minutes playing with 10 men cost them the win, ultimately. Hey! After taking a match off of being the best team in the Bundesliga, Köln went right back to winning, getting a 4-0 dubber over Freiburg, which is quite the decent result. Sure, Freiburg have fallen off a bit lately, but that makes for 4 wins in their last 5 matches for Köln, and they've really done well to lift themselves out of and away from the relegation zone. Alright, so the standings look like this in Germany. Bayern are back on top with their 6th win on the trot, while both Borussias are just 3 points behind them. Bayern play RB Leipzig at home next, by the way, and I'd say that match is about as unmissable as a match can get. You're definitely going to want to tune in for that one. I know I am. In Italy, Juventus looked to bounce back from their surprising loss in Naples as they faced off against Fiorentina at home, and for a while, La Viola were the better of the teams. If not for a wild Szczesny save, they would have been ahead. But Ronaldo is inevitable these days, and he put Juve ahead in the 40th minute from the penalty spot. He wasn't done there though, as he scored yet again from the spot. Then De Ligt made it 3-0 with a free header. 3-0 the final as Juve cruised for the most part, despite some scares from Fiorentina. Ronaldo, by the way, has become the first player since David Trezeguet to score in 9 consecutive Serie A matches, and since the start of December, he has scored 16 goals, failing to score in only 1 match across all competitions. That's nothing compared to Ciro Immobile though, am I right, boys? He led Lazio to another win, scoring a brace and grabbing an assist in the process. One of his goals was just Crazy. Drawing the keeper out, shifting back and forth from the side of the 18, then looping it over all of the defenders and into the empty goal. It was one of those goals where if you were his teammate, you'd be saying, Ciro, hey, here, Ciro. Then you immediately get mad when he strikes from that shit angle, and then it goes in, and you're like, you're so fucking lucky you scored, my guy. But holy shit, you're also brilliant, I guess. So yeah, Lazio won 5-1, and Ciro now has scored 25 goals in 21 matches, and yet he still won't be widely celebrated by the football world. Nobody cares that he has the best scoring record in the top 5 leagues, or that he's contributed so much to Lazio's 16 matches unbeaten, which had moved them up to second place in the Serie A for a hot minute. But I care, Ciro. I care. A disastrous first half for Roma away to Sassuolo saw them fall 3-0 behind after just 26 minutes, one of the worst Roma performances we've seen in a while under Paulo Fonseca. They eventually lost 4-2, and their form is slipping these days. 3 losses and just 1 win in their last 5 matches. Torino are in some terrible form as well after getting clapped 7 times last week versus Atalanta. They leaked 4 goals and scored none away to Lecce, a team that is just fighting to stay in the Serie A currently. That is brutal from them. 11 goals conceded in just 2 matches, 3 losses in a row now for Torino. And finally, Inter won away to Udinese with Lukaku getting in on the goals. He's taken his tally up to 16 on the season with his brace. He's now the solitary 3rd place player in the goal scoring standings behind, of course, Ronaldo and Immobile. With that win, Inter held on to 2nd place, though we gotta remember, Lazio has a match in hand and could leapfrog them to move within 2 points of Juve. Only 4 teams in the top 10 won, by the way, but Sampdoria and Napoli face off today with a shot at moving closer to the top 10 up for grabs if you're Napoli. We're going to Spain. The big match of the weekend was, of course, the Madrid derby, where an out-of-sorts Atletico went away to the Bernabeu to try to steal a win. Unfortunately, for that to be possible, you have to be able to score goals, and that's something that Atleti simply cannot do at the moment. They haven't won a match since January 9th and have scored once in 5 matches, 4 of which losses. Now you understand why I did that video on Atletico, right? Have you watched that video yet? You should watch it. Atletico could have had a penalty in the 31st minute when Casemiro clumsily brought down Morata, but the VAR agreed with the call on the pitch, so nothing going there. Later, in the second half, a great move from Vinicius sent Ferland Mendy through, and his curling ball to the back post was met by Benzema and tucked away to give Madrid the lead and the win. 1-0 the final as Benzema scores his 13th La Liga goal of the season and his first since December 15th. More pain for Simeone and the boys, and it only gets more difficult from here. Next is a tough Granada side, then away to Valencia, a match against Liverpool, Villarreal, Espanyol, Sevilla, and then Liverpool again. Big yikes. Barcelona didn't look all that convincing against Levante once again, the team that beat them earlier in the season 3-1. While Griezmann couldn't sort out his finishing at all, blowing 2 beautiful chances from right in front of the goal, Messi and Ansu Fati, the link-up was in full effect, combining for a brace for the youngster in the first half. Ter Stegen had to make a few decent saves in this one, and late on, Ruben Rochina scored after previously blowing over the open goal. 2-1 the final there. Some positives for Barcelona. I thought Semedo played one of his best matches in a Barca shirt, but Barca in general are still nowhere near as dominant as they should be against opponents like this. Valencia, they stay winning after beating Barcelona last week as they beat a relegation-fighting Celta Vigo 1-0 at the Mestalla. Celta, they're in trouble, my friends. Winless in 8 matches now and floundering in 19th. Villarreal won again. You love to see it, as Santi Cazorla leads these boys back up the table. This week, they defeated Osasuna 3-1 with new signing Paco Alcacer scoring on his debut, Cazorla with a goal from the spot and an assist on Ruben Peña's goal as well. He's in rare form, one of his best seasons. And oh yeah, Leganés scored a 94th minute winner against Real Sociedad, and I think it's fair to say their title of future champs is now gone, as Real Madrid's 15-point lead over them is looking pretty insurmountable. Barcelona are still 3 points behind the leaders, while Getafe have moved into 3rd now after getting their 3rd win in a row. Valencia overtakes Atletico, who now sit in 6th. Weird seeing them that low these days. Quick bonus league for you, given that De Topper was played in the Eredivisie. De Topper, of course, being the match between Ajax and PSV. First, for anyone who asks, no, I won't do a Roost of the rivalry for Ajax and PSV because there's not much there. but I will likely do one for Ajax and Feyenoord, okay? Ajax were in some strange form coming into this one. After running away with the league early, they really took their foot off the gas pedal as of late and have allowed the chasing pack to get within touching distance. One of those teams that are close by, however, is not PSV, as they are having a struggle of a season by their own high standards. So on Sunday evening at the Johan Cruyff Arena, a first half goal from Quincy Promes, his 11th of the season, was the eventual winner for Ajax in what was a dominant performance over PSV. Ajax really should have buried a few more. This could have been 3-4-0 as they cut through PSV quite easily, but they were wasteful with their end product. 1-0 the final. The team following them in the standings, AZ Alkmaar, also won this weekend, kicking the weekend off on Friday with a slap up of RKC Waalwijk, who are actually the top collectors of L's in the league so far. They sit at the bottom of the table. A brace for Oussama Idrissi and one for Myron Boadou. Those two actually top the goal scoring charts in the Eredivisie, scoring just under 50% of AZ's goals so far this season. Feyenoord continued their incredible winning streak as well, as they dropped 3 on FC Emmen and got the clean sheet to boot. That's 5 wins in a row for Feyenoord, and they're undefeated in 10 matches. They haven't lost since the end of October when Ajax stomped them 4-0. Great run from good old Dick Advocaat. Willem II are also on a great, lengthy, unbeaten run of 9 matches as they stopped Heracles 1-0 to move 4 points ahead of PSV. Speaking of which, the table, Ajax have a 3-point lead over Alkmaar, while Feyenoord and Willem are both on 40 points. Next weekend on the 9th, if you want to catch some Eredivisie, I highly recommend taking in Feyenoord versus AZ Alkmaar, while Willem versus PSV should be interesting as well. And that's all, boys. Another weekend, another recap, and another week of content on the way. Was slow going last week as I was busy with a lot of personal stuff, but we should be good to go this week. All right? Thanks again for watching. I love ya. Take care.